people not taking me seriously. Like, I'm just this young redhead Irish Caucasian girl. How could I know what I'm doing? You know, music always around me. We had no TV when I was a child, and you know, lived in a tree house, and I was in nature all the time, and I could hear the music from the tree that I lived in, the plants, and so it came naturally for me to hear music. And he came and hooked me up, and he's like, that's weird. And he's like, it's reading Hebrew.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm really excited. Today I have Colleen with me. She's actually visiting me here in Ottawa, and we've had a lot of time to catch up and connect, and we thought it would be great for us to sit here and chat with you a little bit more about this upcoming retreat that we're going to be hosting in Costa Rica and Peru. And we thought maybe it would be great for us to have a conversation just more about ayahuasca, master plants, and really the importance of why these plants are needed right now, why we need to be connecting with community and healing and doing this deep work. So it is an honor to have Colleen here, and we're hoping that this conversation can really inspire you, but also encourage you to really tune into your divinity and your truth and doing this deep work for us, but also all relations in the collective. So thank you, Colleen, for being here. Thank you for taking this time to chat with us. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. So if you feel anyone that might be inspired by this conversation, feel free to share, whether that is online or Facebook or Instagram, just to spread the word of this channel. If you feel called to share from your hearts, we appreciate it. Again, and we'd love for you to introduce to the group a little bit more about yourself. I've known Colleen for about 5 years. It's been a while since we've known each other. And she was actually the first person that I sat with that really brought such deep healing to me. I actually sat with another facilitator, but at the end of that ceremony weekend, I remember ayahuasca, she told me, this is not where you're meant to sit. But it was a moment that I had to be in that space. I had to be in that ceremony because I met a dear brother that is still part of our community. And he said, hey, I know a woman named Colleen. She does more of a concert and healing and uses her tools. And it's very different than what you sat with in this weekend. And my whole body said, I have to sit and I have to experience this. It was just like a knowing. I don't really, that feeling where you're meant to go somewhere. So I ended up going to sit her ceremony, and I've been sitting with her since. And I'm really grateful to have her here. So just wanted to share more about why, how Colleen and I connected. It was me sitting and being a participant, still a participant with her, but also sitting alongside with her, doing this healing. So yeah, Colleen, I'd love for you to share. Just wanted to share that with you.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Shika. It's an honor. And yeah, wow, time flies. 5 years. But yeah, it's a beautiful journey we're on, and trusting the grandmother ayahuasca who has weaved us to meet, and it's a beautiful community that we've been a part of, and I know who the man is that you mentioned, Mike, I think it is, that introduced you to me. Yeah, and he's a beautiful brother, and I'm grateful that he introduced you to me. It is kind of a concert, what I hold, but it is deep too. So I am traditionally trained from two very elderly maestros, one from Canada named Don, and I worked with, I've known him over 16 plus years now. Periodically I still sit with him. The last time I sat with him maybe it was 2.5 years ago. He came to my lands and we did some deep work together. So I always return to sit with my elders, and it's a beautiful journey. But also my other maestro, 86 years old, Don Ignacio from Inferno, Peru. Very traditional, 5th generational Peruvian maestro that I worked with, very deep apprentice for 3 months, and learned a lot of Icaros and surrendering to the jungle spirits that were teaching me a lot, and taking in the curandero healing that he was offering, because I went to him quite sick. I was in a very traumatic car accident that left me unconscious for 3 days. I broke my jaw, and I have a metal plate holding my jaw together, so that took about 3.5 years just to open my mouth again and to sing, and internal bleeding on my left brain, and the doctors were throwing at me all kinds of drugs and pharmaceuticals, Prozac, and I was blessed that the grandmother ayahuasca came to me in the first year, and the journey of healing myself for almost a little over 5 years with my maestro from Canada and Peru, and learned a lot. And then from there it just spiraled to continue offering that in a small group when my maestro said, I'm not coming here anymore, and you've done your work, you've learned a lot from me and all the teachers from Peru and the maestros and all the hard work you've done, so now you can start small and word of mouth and let it spiral, see where it goes. And it's now been 13 years that I've been offering ayahuasca private ceremonies underground, being very quiet about it, because unfortunately it is still not legal, but things are lifting fast, and I think, people are waking up quickly and seeing that these medicines are very healing, and the time is now for us to realize that they're sacred and to honor them, but to also honor them with good facilitators that have worked hard and healed thyself and de-added and quieted the mind and solitude. And there's many layers to holding a tight, safe container with these medicines. So I'm deeply honored to my teachers, my maestros, and for people like you. And it's all word of mouth, and it's all through referral why people have come to me in the last 13 years. And I guess it is, again, kind of a concert what I hold, because I'm working with, the Icaros that I've learned. I open the space with a tight container, opening a sacred space, honoring all directions in prayer, and calling in all the guides, the spirits, to help assist us and our prayers to be heard, and because the prayers are deeply heard when you open in sacred space. And then calling in the traditional Icaros, using my shakapa, my rattle, my drum, work in the room, cleaning and clearing on an etheric level with my tools, whatever's coming up, and keeping the space tight and contained, because a lot of stuff's coming up with people, and it's a tight container to hold. So it's an honor to been initiated to work in such a way and offer so many different modalities of sound vibration with, the Icaros and the drumming and my guitar and the crystal bowls and the gong and harmonica, and my harp sometimes plays through me. And when I say plays through me, it's really me getting out of the way. It's the instruments are playing through me, and they taught me a lot in the first 5 years. When I started working with ayahuasca, I was working with sound therapy long before ayahuasca, about 12-15 years, because of my first car accident when I was 16. And I thought I knew what sound therapy was then, but I didn't know anything until I started working with ayahuasca. And she taught me a whole new level of allowing the sound to come through you, and allowing the instruments, when you hold them, to speak to you, to feel the spirit of each tool that you're working with. And when I say spirit, each tool that I work with is alive, and it's a sacred tool that I'm working with. And they're all natural deaths. I don't work with anything that has been exploited or killed deliberately. My tools are all gifted to me. My feathers, my drums, my rattles, everything is natural death. So I'm honoring that as well, and really connected to each spirit, what's the animal totem is coming through, and listening. Some of these tools, when I pick them up, they're alive, they're in charge. And so I've learned a lot. So that's just a little bit, dip in the water of what I do. And that's just addressing a little bit of what you shared. Like, I guess it is kind of like a concert, if that's your experience, but I think it's also really deep too. It's not just all night music. There's a lot of breaks of silence. There's a lot of prayer work happening. And very traditional Icaros are being offered, which each Icaros is got a frequency of medicine in it. And with or without ayahuasca or plant medicine, these Icaros are very healing. So that's the magic that each Icaros holds. So I'm honored to share that and offer that.
Thank you for sharing with us a little bit more about yourself. And I do want to share with you all as well is, it's very much more than a concert. Brother that I connected with, and he said, it's like a concert. I didn't really until I got there.
You are dancing and singing, and when we reach to that level of everyone participating and dancing and playing their instruments and opening their voices and singing, it takes time to get to that. But if you can step into that and experience that's a beautiful container.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and I think that's what I feel is a gift that you've offered, because you spent so many years tuning with, connecting with every spirit of the instrument and your tools, which we're going to cover a little bit more about. I do want to ask you some questions about your tool. But one thing I want to talk about is ayahuasca and sound healing, and just your whole journey of working with sound healing and ayahuasca. And you mentioned it amplified your connection with sound healing. So can you share a little bit more about the power of music and sound healing with ayahuasca specifically, being a specialist in music healing and now putting it with grandma? Can you talk a little bit more about the healing that's accessible through the two?
Absolutely. I come from a background of music, being in church as a little girl and singing in the choir and walking down the aisle every Christmas and singing a cappella, and music always around me. We had no TV when I was a child, and lived in a tree house, and I was in nature all the time, and I could hear the music from the tree that I lived in, the plants. And so it came naturally for me to hear music because we had no TV, we had no distractions. It was kind of a strict home that I was brought up in, but now I give gratitude to it all. The piano was the first instrument I played, and being put in every musical class as a child, and every activity, you name it, with music involved. So that was a blessing to grow up with music all around me, and my mother singing her first record when she was 16 with her sister. She made a record when she was 16, and my father singing on both sides of my family, and the gift of music that was gifted to me from also my grandfather and grandmother. And so it goes back, and when I started working with ayahuasca, when I finally could sing and I healed my broken jaw, I heard my grandmother coming through me, and I was connecting to a very high frequency, a spirit of sound, and connecting with my ancestral lineage, and really honoring that in my voice, which is Celtic, and that's the lineage I carry. I'm Irish and a little bit of German, but a little bit of Dutch, but it's beautiful to connect to that. And then I was working with crystal bowls before the ayahuasca came into my life, placing the crystal bowls on my clients and playing them and singing, and thinking I was knowing what I was doing, but I didn't know the depth and the level of sound healing until after healing my injuries for 5 years with ayahuasca. And because I broke my jaw, and I had to learn all over again how to sing from my heart, from my soul, from my spirit, rather than my programming of how I was raised to be very competitive, and how our system is set up. You have a record label that signs you, and this was all my programming as far as music. And so ayahuasca woke me up very quickly, and she taught me to sing from the heart and the soul, and that's the truth of vibration. She taught me the truth of this reality, which is everything is vibration. Every tree has a song. That science is now hooking up their machines to each tree, each plant, and every single plant and tree has a different song. We're in beautiful times to really connect to the universal vibrational frequency orchestra that life is, and that we are. And earth my body, air my breath, water my blood, fire my spirit. We are Mother Earth, and we're not separate from her. And so even our bones are singing, even everything within our body is singing. And you can hear it when you're on the medicine. You can hear when something's out of tune. Because I went into working with ayahuasca with so many traumatic injuries, I went really deep. She took me really deep, and taught me so much, but even taught me how to listen to the instrument. I thought I knew how to play the drum, and I was, playing it wrong in the beginning. It was me drumming, and the Spirit went, at one point, the one journey, she wouldn't let me, I couldn't for the life of me drum. And this happens to a lot of people that sit with me. They come in, they're professional guitar players, and I can play the guitar, and okay, we'll see, and they can't for the life of them play it. And it's because they're in their mind, they're in their programming, the logical teachings of when they were a child of how to play. And it's a different ball game when you sit with Grandma. You're playing and listening from the Spirit, and the instrument and the songs are channeling through you rather than you in charge. You're not in charge. And the more you can get out of the way, the better, and the more beautiful the symphony of your soul song can come through.
Wow. Your
unique soul song, because we all have our own beautiful, unique song to sing. And these are teachings I like to share in my circles as well, and to hold that prayer for every single person to step into that and offer their soul song with the world, whatever it is that comes through. And that's my prayer, to hold that for you, that you can step into that and offer that. So yeah.
I think one thing I really resonated with was you mentioning about coming from a very competitive background, growing up and starting off with competitive ballet and going into jazz and ballroom, and it was like constantly your posture and you point your toes and programming you that if you didn't do it this way, then you don't know how to dance, and
exactly.
This is the only way that's acceptable.
And you're also put in a classroom, and you're competing against people, and it's like, why are we doing that? Because each individual is growing differently. Every child from 1 to 7, their brain is developing at a different rate, and the last place we should be putting children is in a chair with a textbook in front of them, or in a room full of 30 people learning a new figure skating. Like, I started figure skating when I was 5 years old. I took figure skating lessons all the way up until I was 12, and it was competitive, and basketball too, and it's just compete, and it's not an art, and these things should be expressed as art. And if it's held in a container where everyone is looked at uniquely, then you see the genius in each person, and every person is different, rather than we're all the same way. And if you don't do it this way, then you don't get a gold medal.
Yeah.
Right?
That's important. And I think that's what you shared and touched on. You've had so many teachers, and maybe we can go into that had their own way, whether it's Ikaros or, working with certain tools. So maybe you can speak more on weaving your own unique way of your voice, the instruments, but then also maybe the things that you've learned from your maestros and your elders, and how that's amplified your craft as a curandera. If you can share more about that, because that's important. It's not something that you can just do overnight, right?
The root essence of what I hold is from my maestro, Don, from Canada. He's in the deepest depth of my soul, his teachings, the curandera work, the healing work, the going around and going up to each person and knowing what to extract, what to hold space for, what to cleanse and clear, what tool to sit and pray with and then put your hand out and allow the Spirit to call you. I watched him, and it was years. I just learned from him, and his teaching was always, if you want to learn, just sit with me. And that was the greatest teaching, and I agree with that. And it's just practice and sit and put it to work. Don't just come to these retreats and then go home and not continue practicing and working. And so it's a whole package. But yeah, the root essence of what I hold is from Don, absolutely. And then my maestro from Peru, and then being able to hold my own ceremonies, and my maestro kicking me out of the nest and saying I was ready, and also looking at me and saying, these people are coming for you, and you hold special codes, special keys that I don't offer in my ceremonies. And like, he doesn't play the crystal bowls. So every time I would join his ceremonies, he would come over and whisper, play the bowls, and he activated that in me. And I remember when I couldn't open my jaw, he asked me to sing, and I tried to sing, and the metal plate in my jaw cracked, and I started crying. And it was a ceremony where I had to grieve that my jaw, it hurt. And I used to be a professional singer before my car accident, and all the anger that came up with that, and having to purge all that took a lot of ceremonies, many years to purge all the grief, the anger, and to open my voice and to sing when my maestro would ask me to sing. And it was an honor to be asked. I've sat with a lot of people in Peru, and they don't hold that kind of container. They don't allow people to sing. But my maestro from Canada, he opened that. And so this is a teaching I hold, and I like to share that. And that's within me. And I'm grateful for that, because I've witnessed such healing in 13 years of that teaching that he gifted me with, and I've paid it forward, and I see it's helped many other people. So I'm grateful for that, and just honoring ayahuasca, kicking my butt, and teaching me to listen and surrender, and giving me the confidence, because a lot of the side effects I dealt with from my head injury was insecurity, anxiety, depression, the hurdles I had to jump through to get my confidence back, because it took years with my head injury. I was a very confident person before my second car accident. I was in front of cameras on runways, doing fitness modeling, and that was in my beginning of my teens, and always in singing, and in church, and in choirs, and always in front of the crowds, and winning gold medals in basketball, and very active upbringing, and never shy, and very confident. And then my second car accident, with being unconscious for 3 days and having my head injury, having to deal with this person that I didn't even recognize. I had to get to know myself all over again, and to gain my confidence, but also gain it in a whole different way, in a humble way. Like I feel like I've been ego death time and time again with Grandma, and bashing my ego, and helping me surrender, and to laugh at the humiliation and the silliness that comes up in some of these ceremonies, and the farts, the burps, the trips, and like that. Those were things that my maestro would say, like, and he was so humble about it, and so confident in humiliation aspect, and that taught me a lot too. And it's a true gift to be able to hold that humiliation aspect and use that as your medicine. There's many things that I carry forward, and crafting my own unique craft has taken years. And yes, it's been 16 plus years. And each time I sit, because as you know, anybody who's sitting, not one ceremony is the same, ever. So every ceremony, if you're open and in surrender, you're walking away with gifts. So when you're open in your prayer, and you're true in your authenticity with why you're showing up, and you leave that ceremony and you properly do your integration with integrity, and you go home with that, and you trust in your prayers to hold you and that hard work you did, you will reap the benefits and then some. So yeah, it's absolutely beautiful, the magic of these plant medicines, especially ayahuasca, sitting in Dieta, that we'll be holding in Costa Rica and Peru, being alongside Bolbonsana and Rose, and these plants really quieting the mind, opening the heart, opening the voice, and it's just a beautiful opportunity on the planet right now to even have access to these medicines in these times of such suffering and all around us. So it's our responsibility to raise our frequency and to shine that divine light out, because this light is so needed. And we each have our own unique soul song divinity to share. And hallelujah for Grandmother Ayahuasca and all her plant allies weaving us together. Yeah.
I think one of my favorite quotes that I've learned since sitting with you has been, every time is my first time. it throws out expectations, and it also allows you to just humble yourself, like you said. I feel like before you go off saying, I've sat 100 ceremonies, it doesn't matter how many you've sat. It doesn't matter how much medicine you drink, right? We were talking about that today. It matters how you allow yourself to sit and get out of the way, which you keep sharing. That's one of the biggest teachings.
And take that medicine into your daily life.
Exactly.
You now are the medicine. Life is your ceremony. So how are you showing up? How are your relations? How are you showing up when the shit hits the fan? Are you addressing that with integrity, like you have to on the medicine? We're being tested on the medicine, so take all those gifts home with you. Yeah.
Yeah, I also want to mention a little bit more about integrity, because I think that's important. More and more ayahuasca, being a Campbell facilitator as well, and Bulbansana, you're doing a Rose Dieta too. So, we have access to these plants, but it's very important to, one, respect them, and two, to take that medicine, like you said, and embody it at home. So I kind of want you to mention, or maybe speak some wisdom on how important it is to integrate and also prepare to sit with the medicine, right? Because you can sit for 10 days, as we did in Costa Rica with Bulbansana and ayahuasca, and do ceremony. But it's also before and after, in the moment that Aya grandmother comes into your field, she's already working with you. So can you share a little bit more about the importance of integrating grandma in your everyday life, and why that's so important in a time right now, especially with us, AI, there's so many distractions, right? And it is more important for us to step into our divinity, our template, our original template. So yeah, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but I feel like that is something we should open up and talk about. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, the more peaceful in our presence that we can be, the more we're assisting this awakening on the planet. But many people, before they come to do this work, the monkey mind is racing. You got to quiet that down. You got to quiet down all the attachments that you have to who you think you are and were. Cleaning up your diet, cleaning up the food intake, no salt, no sugar, meditating, spending time in nature. Your whole practice, whatever you're doing at home, has to change before entering an ayahuasca ceremony. And that's why these guidelines are sent out. Some people want to do 2 weeks of a very strict dieta, and kudos to them. I'm so proud of them. But and then the main guidelines for people that have been sitting with me for 13 years here in Ontario are just do the 3 days, quiet the mind. As soon as you decide that you want to do this, you're already in ceremony. She's showing up. Some people, I don't ever puke, and I was puking 3 days. As soon as I decided, every day I was puking in the bathroom before arriving, and the anxiety, it intensifies for people, and it's a lot, to prepare to show up to do this work. But then it's a lot also to hold that afterwards, and to not go back into your familiar environments, like you're going home. Some people are going right back into the city. They're back on the highway, and it's, what are you listening to? What are you paying attention to? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Look in your environment and see where you can clean up. Can you make an altar? And those are teachings I like to offer. Everything I've done here in this ceremony, you can take home. Who knows what smudging is? Who knows what Hepe is, quieting the mind? Who knows what Wim Hof method is? Hot and cold therapy. Who knows how crystals are beautiful tools to work with? And there's just multiple things that I'm working with here that you can take home and work with to help assist your integration. But ultimately it's take that home with you and trust your prayers. And when I say prayer, a lot of people who come to sit with me, it's not a religious prayer. We're not praying to some man in the sky that hopefully he hears our prayer. It's be a part of that prayer. Know that you are co-creating that prayer with creation. And when you say this prayer, it's releasing that with the energy and the belief of, and so it is, this understanding that you're co-creating that with ayahuasca, with Mother, Father, Creator, with the Great Spirit, with all of creation, whatever word you want to call it, Wankatonka, and be a part of it, and be in unison and co-creation with that prayer. And it comes down to trust too. Really, people sometimes they forget that when they go home and they get back in the spin of anxiety comes up, the fears come up, and they're not trusting that all the hard work that they just did. It's not going to happen overnight. Just be patient. Some people, the ripple effect, it's quick for them. Some people, it's over a few months, and all of a sudden they're like, oh, my father's back in my life after 30 years. Wow, I'm talking to my sister.
I came to Colleen, and I also shared this with, the woman that approached us and was asking questions, and, a lot will be triggered when you decide to sit, right? Mm. That is the work.
Yeah, and that's another aspect I like to call in for wisdom in my ceremonies and to pay forward from my maestro's teachings, is that we have to honor the rainbow tribe that we are, and to not get caught up in the color of our skin. My maestro from Canada, he's white, but he started doing medicine in Colombia in his late 20s, and he was involved in the sun dance and initiated maestro very young by the chiefs in Colombia. And he wasn't a black or yellow colored skin or indigenous skin, and he was initiated maestro, and he's white, Caucasian white man. So he's, I've heard his stories and what he's had to go through of not being taken seriously because of the color of his skin. And it's the time now that we have to address this collective shadow that people are judging. I've received a lot of judgment myself, just people not taking me seriously. I'm just this young redhead Irish Caucasian girl. How could I know what I'm doing? There's no way. Go to Peru. That's the only place that you'll ever receive true healing. And I've gotten it a lot come at me, and even just recently that we went through an experience with somebody sharing the same sentiment of calling me a young Caucasian woman. So you got a little taste of that medicine of what I've had to hold space for, because literally this is a program that we're trying to shine light upon. And I'm sure, being a black woman, you know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you've gone through the racism and all that, wow.
Going back to what Mike originally said, it's a concert. It's a concert, but it's more than that. It's much more than that. It's music, it's healing, it's work, it's shadow work. And that is what we have to do for us to lift the shadow so we can step into our divinity. Mm. One of the biggest shadows that I feel Colleen has helped me was racism since I was a kid, whether it was my hair or, that was a big thing that I recently went deeper into after Noya Rao and sitting in silence with Bopansana. She said, cut all my hair. Mm. And it was all this attachment to, wait, my hair is my trauma. It's something I can hold on to. My hair is I need to change it. There was all this wording of what my hair means based on when I was going to school or my family wanting my hair a certain way. So it was interesting, grandmother brought me someone, but yet did I know when I sat with grandma with you, one of the things is she brought me to my little girl that, did feel so beautiful. And her mom would say, your skin is so beautiful. Remember that. And I was wondering why she kept focusing on that, but she was trying to prepare me for out there. And that was her way of trying to protect her little girl, because she knew out there someone was going to tell her otherwise. Right. And I can, like you said, we have different same though, just different sides of our experience of our rapper. Mm-hmm. But this brings me to the question of being, a white woman that is going to Peru and sitting with this deep medicine. And it is not the skin we have, it's the heart that beats, as we mentioned in our conversation with this specific woman that we connected with. So can you speak more on how you've been able, your stories, your experiences, and you said Sundance, all that as well. So share more on that.
Yeah, my indigenous elders aren't just with plant medicine. It's part of my healing aspect was sweat lodging with them, long dances, rain dances, and then finally attending the Sundance and learning just so humbling in the lodge with the elders and the storytelling. The storytelling is like is absolutely where the medicine's at. And that their story tells that they would share in the prophecy that it's the rainbow warriors that are going to be of the new earth, and that's all colors. And here they are accepting us to come into their circles, and the chiefs. And there have been in the past. I'm not going to name anyone, but. Yeah, I mean, I have gotten the glares from some elderly indigenous woman, or why is she here, a little white girl, but I think, way back in BC, 16 years ago, when I started sweating with my chief, 2 years in a row, I would sweat with Reuben George and Daryl Bob and sit with his mother and his children. And, there was a program around ayahuasca and plant medicine is bad and it was taboo. And now when I return to BC and go to the Sundance or join the Sweat Lodge, they're all doing plant medicines now. It's all lifted. So that's beautiful to have witnessed. And that's my greatest prayer for globally, that we step out of how the person looks and truly close your eyes. And you have to learn this on ayahuasca because you're in the dark. And when you hear someone sing, you feel them. You're not looking at them. You're hearing them. You're hearing their medicine. You're feeling them. Right now, we have, we're doing this on YouTube and people are watching us, and there's a distraction, there's a filter, there's judgment, how I look, how am I sitting, what am I wearing? So there's a lot of distractions, but you don't have that when you sit in the dark. It's go in and feel and listen to the authenticity, feel the truth. Listen to that voice, listen to that song, and truly, where's it coming from? And then you don't see a color, you don't see a race, a person. It's a spirit, it's a soul that's connected to you. And it's a beautiful time we're in. A beautiful man I've been following for over 20 years, Greg Braden, and such a beautiful, humble man in his 70s, who's now revealing. And he's up against a lot of people right now that are upset with him, saying, why are you sharing this with humanity? We've been trying to keep this secret for so long. And Greg Braden has said, because I'm not rabbi, I'm not religious, and it's time for us to bring this wisdom forth. And humanity really needs to understand how divine they are. And science is now reading in our DNA, God eternal within the body is the language that science is reading. And it's the language is coming through in Hebrew, and that's interesting too. There's a lot to be shared with that. I was working with biofeedback, a practitioner long before my second car accident, and he would go around and hook the machine up to people. And if anyone knows biofeedback, you get hooked up to the machine and it sends you, it reads your DNA, it reads your language. And this man had been working with biofeedback for over 10 years. And it was right before my car accident. And he came and hooked me up, and he's like, that's weird. And he's like, it's reading Hebrew. Wow. And he didn't know how to address that. And I said, well, what does that mean? And, that was 17, 18 years ago now, but now I understand it because I've been researching and listening to Greg Braden and the whole history of the sacredness in our DNA. And my DNA was reading Hebrew. So you can learn a lot about the divinity that your own essence is holding. What language are you speaking? But the root essence of every single person on the planet is God eternal within the body. And it doesn't say who God is, it just expresses how divine we are, and to honor that and to honor what we're putting in our bodies. And when we have that understanding that we're God, we're creation, we're not separate. If we're God eternal within, then you know, we're connected with everything that happens to Mother Earth. So yeah, it's a beautiful time we're in, and everything is coming out, and it has to.
I think the biggest lesson grandmother has shown me ayahuasca was, look at how you've been told to separate yourself from the world, and that is your biggest gift behind that. And I think what I mean by that is, when I've sat with you, is like, you know, whether it was the little girl Shika that was in school and, you know, felt separated at school, or, you know, whether it's the high school Shika who felt separated of wanting the guy to like me at school and doing whatever she could to look a certain way, right? Whatever it was, the different versions of you that was told, and you needed to be this way. That is really the collective shadow that she's teaching us within our own template. And I love that you said about this, you know, experience of seeing your DNA writing Hebrew, you know, translating Hebrew, because there's been times with ayahuasca where she's translated Portuguese or Spanish with me, or Latin, or light codes, and I've seen and created, and I was like, wow, this is. That's why when I hear a certain language, my body just gravitates to it, or a song. Absolutely. And I notice it in a different language, my soul, it feels it in its bones because it's familiar. And the more that we can, you know, erase those separations, the more that we can connect with that eternal divinity that we are, that is God. And that is our biggest prayer, that we hope. And I'm sure that's at least what ayahuasca shared with me, that we want us to all come back to. But before we get there, we need to do the work, right? So I'm so happy that you shared that, and shared that story, because I didn't even know you had that experience. That's amazing.
And being gentle with the work that we have to do, and not taking it personally, because we're also carrying our mothers, our fathers, our grandfathers, and it's such ancestral trauma that it's all in our DNA as well. So that a lot of people who are showing up, you're purging that, and it's not all yours. So don't take it personally. And kudos if you have the courage to show up to do that, because when you do that, you're bringing peace to your ancestors, and they need it, because the veil is so thin, and we're all connected. So the suffering doesn't end just when they leave this realm, and we have a responsibility right now to bring peace to all of these traumas that are in all of our DNA, all our memory cells. We're carrying so much, so all of that's being stripped and cleaned out and cleansed, so that we can really rise.
Yeah, that's important. I think sometimes we focus so much when we're healing on what we're purging, and sometimes we don't really need to know per se, because it might be your great grandmother, but you want to attach, what is it? What's this trauma? What is? And then that's when you get into a loop, right? You focus most of the ceremony, and I've seen sitting with you where some people come and they have that expectation, and and then you lift it by second ceremony. They're like, wow, oh my gosh, I was able to connect with my grandma, and so on. So even something you can do at home, where are you attaching? That's a really beautiful lesson here that you've shared with us, is where are you attaching to the stories, to the constant, this, and take a breath. We were just talking about, sometimes we forget to bring it back,
and this isn't who you are. This may have happened to you, it's passed down to you, it happened in the womb with your mother, like, who knows, but thank you, you see it, you've observed it, but let it go. Let it go. Trust grandma. Let's release all that. Not get attached to the stories. Watch the monkey mind, because we can get in loops, and then just trust that the facilitators who are holding this space for you can hold that and clean that and clear that for you. Yeah.
Once you trust, just come with an open heart. That's usually the only advice I always share, and that's what you share too in your ceremony. Stay open and just get out of the way, and you even share that even when you open space in prayer. I trust that I can get out of the way, and that I feel like is such a great teaching in the prayer aspect, away from religion, as you mentioned. I do want to talk about Dieta, because I think that, I know for me, was a very big, powerful experience. I know for many as well, that I saw that sat with Bobensan ayahuasca in Costa Rica. We think ayahuasca, but she connects to the great vast plants that are out there, thousands of thousands that are out there that are wanting to be allies with us. So can you speak a little bit more about the power
Yeah, I
of
didn't.
Dieta.
Absolutely. I didn't really know what Dieta was until I went to Peru. So I was journeying for 4 years with ayahuasca with my maestro here in Canada. But when I arrived in Inferno, I mean, I was put on Malpacho Dieta for 2 weeks right away. And that's one of the most intense dietas anyone could ever do. And you really have to surrender and trust that plant, but also the facilitator holding the Malpacho Dieta has to know what they're doing. So that's the first dieta I was put on right away, and kicked my butt and then some. And then the whole 3 months put on the coca leaf tea, which was beautiful, and then worked with ayahuasca. And then I went to the Sacred Valley and worked with Chuma and Bomansana and the shaman there. He's now passed on, but it was right there in the mountains in the Sacred Valley, and held all around the Dieta plants, and it took me deep and taught me a lot that it's really important. It helps with integration too, to work with the ayahuasca, but to have the silence and the time with these other plants that aren't psychedelic. Like Bobansana is not psychedelic, Mapacho is not psychedelic, Chiricsananga is not psychedelic, Rose isn't psychedelic. There's again millions of plants that you can dieta on, but these plants are amplified with the ayahuasca, but they're also teachers, and it's an honor to have worked with them, but also have been held in safe containers with beautiful maestros. So yeah, I have to say personally, Bomansana has been one of my greatest teachers. I'm honored to now be facilitating with her and offering dietas on my lands for the last 3 years. There's testimonials on my YouTube channel with people sitting with Bobansana. One woman who learned 2 songs within the first 2 days. The prayers that were answered in that 10-day dieta with Bobansana were miracles. It's just a beautiful space to hold for, because I went really deep with Bobansana in Peru, and some of the dietas I did with Bobansana were very hard, but the results were miracles. And so yeah, again, and to have the Bobansana trees right there in Costa Rica on Heaven and Earth sanctuary land, so we can even sit with the tree, feel the tree, see the tree, pray with the tree. If that's beautiful to have them right there with you on the lands, learning how to harvest them. Looking forward to holding these retreats with you in Costa Rica and Peru, where the Bobansana plants are right there with us. So yeah, truly an honor. And so many things that we're going to be holding, also like Hepe circles and with cacao, movement, breath work. Thank you for offering that, and the combo. So it's quite a package, and I'm honored to be on the lands in Peru at Nogales. I've known Juan, the owner, since 2011, 16, 17 years, and he built all the tree houses on his lands that we'll be sitting in, and the Maloca's beautiful, and all the community there, all the indigenous, they're all Peruvian. The elders, some of the elders are going to come in and teach us how to make jewelry, and it's the Shipibo beaded jewelry. We're not using feathers, we're using beads, and learning how to read the Icaros that are in their tapestry, and they're going to teach us all about that as well. So lots there, but excited that it's not just ayahuasca and combo, it's also these plant allies that are assisting us and with us.
I want to also share that the amount of education that you walk away from when sitting, and I think that's something that I've been grateful to sit in Peru and also sit with you, but one thing is being able to go to a space where you can walk away learning how to connect with Hape, learning how to sing. We did a singing circle that was amazing in Costa Rica with the last group, and being able to activate our voices and then go into ceremony and have a space to practice and participate. We were just talking about our last ceremony that you did, and it was one of them. I'm still like processing the ceremony itself.
I'm a little in
everywhere.
shock myself.
Yeah.
I have to say it was the closing ceremony on my lands here in Canada, and I've never, like, every single person was singing and drumming, and especially to my recent Wankata Kunabku song. I didn't realize everyone knew that, and it was, you know, it was prayers heard and then some, and it was, yeah, wow.
Yeah, it was amazing. And then everyone was singing like choir, and you know, we had the roses that were there activated, and it was
The water blessing.
Yeah, which is something. Do you want to talk about that? Because I think that's something also that you share and hold, and I know that the water blessing has healed many programmings within my light body and also my physical body. Can you share a bit more?
Yeah, that was a teaching from Grandma. Well, I went to Seattle and I did some training in the Santo Daime, and it's all, if anyone knows the Santo Daime, it's in the light and you're singing and dancing, and there was one part that I appreciated. It was the water blessing, and all the girls are singing water songs, and they anointed me. I knew the main facilitator, and they said, Colleen, you are a water carrier. Would you walk around and anoint everybody with the water and the feather? And I said, I don't know what I'm doing. And they said, trust, Grandma will show you. And wow. I was very nervous, but I she, again, get out of the way. And she came through me, and I held the feather, which was in a white eagle feather, and had the water. And again, the spirit of the animal took over, and it asked me to start at the crown and to anoint with the water in a cross, which is Christ consciousness template that I carry, and it's kind of connected to what we were speaking about earlier, just God eternal within the body and the Christ awareness. And I just trusted, so I anoint above the crown with the water, and then I go down and I touch on the third eye, and I lift, and then I go over the eyes. And as I'm brushing the eyes with the water, over the years, many people have a lot of grief that they haven't been able to let open to. They are able to open to. So the water over the eyes activates that, and then I'm activated to do a little work around the ears, and it's a lot of work that's happening, and my hand takes over with the spirit of the feather I'm holding, and we're cleansing and clearing. Perhaps there's some blockages there, and to clean out, what are we hearing, and let's hear the highest rather than the programs. So there's prayer work there, and then I'm taking the feather and I'm drawing it down to the throat, and then opening the throat. And sometimes when I'm done doing that, people start singing, and they're like, oh, their voice opens. And then I go down to the heart, and then some people are really, it's very sensitive in the heart chakra area with the feather and the water. And that's, some people are really crying a lot in that time. And then I draw it down to the hands, and I bless the hands, and I do some blessing with the feather and the water. And then I end at the back with the wings, and I'm working on opening the wings and doing some cleansing and clearing in that area. So it's about, I don't like to time it, but each person is unique and specific. And I remember one woman saying, you don't spend much time on me anymore. You were quite quick on me as opposed to other people. And I said, sweetheart, you've been sitting with me for many moons now, and you're lit. And that just says I don't need to work on you very much. The other people are new and they need more work. And don't think it's because I'm ignoring you. And I go to where the work needs to be done. And so she oh, thank you, I needed to hear that. But there was a little bit of she was sad that I couldn't spend longer on her, because, and I get that, because it really, I enjoy it too. I enjoy being water blessed, and I'm like, oh, hold the feather there a lot longer, please. That's beautiful. Yeah. And it's nice. I get that. Yeah. And it's lovely. There's a few testimonials on my website of people that, they, for the first time, they could cry after 5 years of family members passed away, and they hadn't been able to cry until the second I would touch them and anoint them with the feather and the water. That activated something for them. And so there's something special there. And so I bring that into my ceremonies. And so I'm grateful and give gratitude to a little bit of the Santo Daime training that I did. decided to take that piece and invoke the light, and to not just have the whole ceremony in the dark, and to bring in a little bit of the light. And then during that ceremony, when I go around and bless everybody, we're also singing songs with the water. Everything is towards activating our water and honoring the Ho'oponopono prayer, understanding that we're 70 to 80% water, using the words, I love you, I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and understanding that everything we say, everything we write, the water hears you. And Dr. Emoto, working with him in 2006, taught me so much about water and the consciousness of water, and writing I love you on a glass of water, and how the water would transform into beautiful crystals, and as opposed to writing I hate you and the water would turn black and look like mud. So he was a scientist from Japan. He's now passed on, but I worked with him for a weekend and learned so much on water. And so taking that teaching from this maestro, he passed away in his 80s, such a very divine man, teaching such beautiful wisdom, and having these books that he's written on my altar, and one of them is a children's book. So also taking these books, and one of my girlfriends, a teacher here in Ottawa, and she took these little Dr. Emoto books, children's books, and took them into the school system, teaching the children the sacredness of water, and how the water's connected to the waters on the planet, and what we do to our waters within, we do outwardly. So yeah, just honoring all these teachings, and it's a blessing to bring that in and to have witnessed such healing and miracles, literally miracles. But it's one thing to say miracle, you have to behold it to really understand. It's not something to just be spoken, it's something to behold and to experience.
Really happy that you shared that, because one of the biggest things that supported me in the water blessing is the opening of the wings, but also the voice. And I know a huge part of sitting with you has been able to sing. And I know growing up in choir up until 12 years old, that was something that, I was kind of wanting and needing for my spirit. And growing up with a family of musicians, there was a lot of, the strict perspective of the different notes you should hit and how it should sound. And I think you doing that water blessing gave me permission to connect to the soul voice, my womb voice, which I think is something that we need to come back to. And, when you access that, like you mentioned with your grandmother, I was able to connect with my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, and their voice and their activation, their medicine came through me as an instrument. And we all have that access to do that, so we can share that with the collective. So yeah, the water, the coding that we are able to tap into with this blessing is so powerful. And I'm so grateful that grandmother has opened that up for you to share in ceremony, because I know it's one of my favorite parts. It's funny that, one of the participants said, why did you spend more time on me? Yes. But, and I think with healing, something to highlight on that is, we are doing this work, but it's also to enjoy laughter. We were just talking about this today, making it light, because we are doing this work to enjoy life more, to be more conscious, to be free, right? That's our biggest prayer for us, to be free. So, when you're sitting in ceremony, whatever ceremony that you're sitting in, remember, how can you embody this to be a free being of divinity, of a free being of who you are? When you can do that, you're working as allies. You're not relying on the medicine, right? It's showing you. That's the beauty of these medicines. At least this is what Bobensana has shown me. It mirrors back to you your own template and who you are. And we give thanks to that. So I just wanted to share that, and a lot of what you shared on the water and the potency of its medicine and this element.
Yeah, it's a celebration, a lot of these ceremonies, and to see everybody, their inner little boy, little girl dancing, singing and celebrating, and sometimes there's a laughter break and it lasts like 10 minutes, and I welcome that. That's also a teaching from my maestro that, it's so beautiful. Everyone laughing like little kids, and the next day everyone shows up so serious and they leave so light. And just to see that that little boy, little girl activated and so joyful and celebrating life. This is the medicine, and it's truly a beautiful time to be alive with so much shadow and darkness, but to be able to have these spaces where we're celebrating life in such a good way, that's going out. The ripple effect of this work that we're doing is being seen, is being heard, and there are very beautiful, benevolent beings out there that are protecting us, and I trust that, and I know we're in good hands. And this is our time. So hallelujah, that we have these medicines and these circles and these people that are of integrity, authenticity, and holding such divine, safe circles where we can celebrate and be safe in our craziness and our little, that wonderment that little child has when you first come into this world, and to return to that magic. Yeah. Yeah.
It's deep truth. Thank you so much for taking the time, for sharing with us not only your experience with grandmother, but also the power of these plants, and your journey from going to Peru and healing yourself, in a time where you mentioned your jaw was shut, and having to trust grandmother again and again, and she continues to hold you and continues to hold all of us, and it's time that we all are able to be held, the template of nature and our true divinity. And thank you for being that walking prayer of embodiment.
Thank you as well.
For us to do that all together. And it's an honor to collaborate with you in the retreat. And I can't wait for us to weave in Peru and Costa Rica. And I would love for you to share just more about maybe some things that are coming up for you, or where people can connect with you deeper. And
well, definitely stay connected with me through Shika, because it's truly come through that we need to do this work together, support each other, and I'm truly honored to have such a powerhouse beside me. Shika's doing great work. Again, she's been sitting not just with ayahuasca for 5 years with me, but also de-adding with another maestro named Dawn in Peru, doing Bobensana for a month in silence, and all the other plants. But yeah, stay connected with me through Shika. I'm going to be continuing doing YouTube videos with her and my YouTube channel, Colleen Ariel. This is all very new for me. Again, I've been underground for, hiding my work for 13 years, but it's time to let go of that old me, and to rise and spread my wings. And it's all around my voice. Grandma's I have a lot to share. Looking forward to spending more time on my upcoming albums, my music, the book I'm going to be writing, which will be an audiobook, sharing these stories, which is storytelling time, and honor my indigenous elders, and holding these retreats with Shika in a good way, with beautiful people in Peru and Costa Rica, a grandmother spirit in Costa Rica, Carol Maureen Friesen, who is the world's leading expert with psychosomatic therapy, and it's an honor to have known her for 3 years and work with her, and to be supported and held by her, and have her offerings at the retreat that we're holding February 1st to 11th, 2025, next year. And then to journey on to Peru for April 21st to April 30th. In Peru, Shika and I with Kwan, the owner of Novelis. And that'll be a group of 8 of us. So a nice intimate group. And Kwan will be sharing some of his medicine. And again, we'll have the elders come in to teach us how to make jewelry. And so stay in touch. Go to my website if you wish to read more testimonials. It's enchantedhealingcenter.com. I'm sure Shika will probably put that in the description below this, but and or if you want to hear my voice and hear any of my music, which is my medicine, you can go to SoundCloud or Spotify, Colleen Ariel. I don't really have anything up publicly that shows really the depth of what channels through when I hold ayahuasca, but that's coming. So stay tuned, and lots coming. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, everything will be down below for you all to connect, and we're excited to weave and create and community and just bringing these beautiful places and spaces to heal with the templates of where we're going with Costa Rica, with Peru, working with the lands. So yeah, we're deep gratitude. But if you're interested in any of those spaces, you can apply down below. There'll be a link, and Colleen and I can get back to you and connect. And we're looking forward to be in prayer with you in ceremony. So again, thank you, Colleen. I feel like if you're open to, I'd love for you to close with maybe a prayer or some medicine or channeling, whatever you feel your heart desires, and just closing on a space of receiving. So I'd love for you to just drop in with your eyes closed and go into your heart and allow Colleen to share your medicine, whatever you feel.
Thank you.